Okay, so today we are going to focus on multiplying tens and hundreds. This is kind of fun because it's sort of like a trick in a way. It helps you with mental math. So we're going to do some practice together today. And you should hopefully already have these notes glued into your journal on page 22, and your table of contents should also be updated so that it matches where it's glued in your journal. Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started. Is it frozen? Oh, I know what I did wrong. Hang on just one second. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and blow this up just a little bit because it's pretty tiny on the screen up there. Remember, if I'm writing, you also should be writing. So please make sure that you follow along and you're filling in your notes as I'm going over it with you. Okay, all of the side conversations now have to end because we're starting our notes for today. If you want to have enough time in class to do your practice so that you don't have homework, we got to get started. Okay, so when we're multiplying by tens and hundreds, we want to look for patterns. So remember, if I'm writing, you're writing. When multiplying. So anytime I'm multiplying tens and hundreds, you're going to look for patterns. Okay, well, if I look at the example and it says how many marbles are in 112 bags, and I'm looking over here at my table, okay, I have 39 bags, which is 390 marbles, 74 bags, which is 740 marbles. So I have a missing number right here. How could I figure out, do y'all notice a pattern?
Add a 0 at the end.
Am I just adding a 0 at the end? So far?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could plug in 690 here. Well, what would I do to 112? Yeah, I would add a 0 at the end, so it makes it 1,120. Okay, so how many marbles are in 120 or 112 bags? That would be 1,120. Well, what am I doing? What is my rule to get from 39 to 390, or from 69 to 690? Yes. I'm multiplying by something. What am I multiplying by?
I saw that. What? You were 10. Multiplying by 2.
Yeah, multiplying by what?
10.
10. Very good. So, again, side conversations, guys. Please make sure you keep them to a minimum. Okay. All right, so I'm multiplying by 10. Okay, well, how many zeros are in the digit 10? 1 0 is in the digit 10. How many zeros did I add to the end of each of those numbers? 1. I have one 0 in the digit 10, or in the number 10, and I added 1 0 to the end of all those numbers when I multiplied it by 10. Okay? How many zeros do you think I would add to the end of a number if I multiplied by 100?
2.
Why? Who said that? Why do you think?
Because you're going back 2 times.
And how many zeros are in 100?
2.
2. So I would add 2 zeros to the end of a number if I was multiplying by 100. Okay, let's look at our pattern here. So if I have 1 times 10, do y'all see the left column where it says times 10? Okay, I'm looking right over here. So if I have 1 times 10, it equals 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if I do 10 times 10? It's 100. How many zeros do you see in that problem? 1, 2, how many are in my answer? 2. Okay, 100 times 10 is 1,000. How many zeros do I have in that problem? 1, 2, 3, and I have 1, 2, 3 in my product. Okay, what about 1,000 times 10? 10,000. And then 10,000 times 10? 100,000. Are y'all noticing a pattern with my zeros?
Yeah.
It goes up 1.
As my number that I'm multiplying by 10 increases by a 0, okay, if I add a 0 to that number, my product also adds a 0.
It's like making a triangle.
Okay, well, what about 760 times 10? Okay, let's look at that below. It says underline the digits that are not 0. So we have 76. Those are my digits that are not 0. I also have 1 that is not 0. Now I'm going to multiply those two underlined numbers for a partial product. What does partial mean?
Part of it.
Part of it, okay? So it's like part of the product. So am I going to be completely done with this problem if I find a partial product?
No.
No, I still have more to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 76 times 1, and what does that equal?
76.
It equals 76. Now I want to count the zeros that I have in this problem.
What? 2.
I have
And which one?
1 0, so I'm going back to my original problem. 2 zeros. I have 1, 2 zeros. So over here in step 3, after I count the number of zeros, I'm going to write 2 there. Step 4 says write zeros after the partial product. So I'm going to take my partial product, which was 76. I'm going to write that down here, and I'm going to put 2 zeros after it. Does everybody understand where those 2 zeros are coming from?
Yes.
They're coming from here and here. So I write 2 zeros after that.
Okay.
So my answer is
7,000.
very good. Okay, well let's look over here at times 100. We're starting from the bigger number this time. So what if I take 10,000 times 100? How many zeros do I have?
6. 100,000.
How many zeros?
7.
How many zeros do I have? Count them.
4.
Count. How many zeros?
7.
6.
Okay, I have, everybody count with me. Here's 1, 2, I'm waiting for y'all to count with me.
7.
3,
4.
5. 6.
very good. So I'm gonna write 1, comma, with 6 zeros. So what number does that make? 1 million.
That's a lot. That's like a lot.
Okay, well what if I take 1,000 times 100? How many zeros do I have? Count with me. 1, 2, why am I counting by myself? 3,
4. 5.
very good. So 1, comma, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I messed that up. I can't put a comma there. Okay. So it's going to go right there, and it's going to be 100,000. Okay, now I have 100 times 100. How many zeros do you see? 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 makes 10,000. 10 times 100. So 1, 2, 3. And then 1 times 100 is 100.
And then 10, and then 0, and then negative.
So if I have any number times 100, I'm basically going to have to add 2 zeros to the end of it. So look at this table below. I have 32 times 100. I'm going to write 32, and how many zeros after it? 2. So that makes 3,200. Then, for 35 times 100, what do I write?
35.
300. I mean, 300.
With how many zeros?
2.
Okay, 3,500. 70 times 100. Is that just 700?
It's 7,000.
It's 7,000. I need 3 zeros. What about 125 times 100?
12,000. 12,500.
Very good. And then the last one? I have 2.
25,000.
Ooh. 25,000. Very good. Okay, so patterns help us when we're multiplying by tens and by hundreds. I'm going to pass out your practice page that we're going to glue in right next to the notes page that we just took. So we're gonna, oops. So please go ahead and glue this page in once you get it at your table. And then we will do, nothing goes there, because it's showing you that it could be any number, which could then make any answer. Okay, you guys should be gluing this notes page on page 23. Most of us are ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and go on to our practice page here. We have 3 problems where we're going to practice multiplying tens and hundreds. The first one, remember cubes. Anytime we have a word problem, we should be using the strategy cubes, which can be found in the back of your journal if you can't see it up in the front of the classroom. Okay, so you can always turn to the back of your journal and see what you're supposed to do using cubes. Okay, number 1 says Jacob knows 13 times 1 equals 13. What is 13 times 100? So what do we know? We've got numbers here. I'm going to redo that. I'm going to circle this whole thing. I'm going to underline the question. Okay, we know 13 times 1 equals 13. So what is 13 times 100? Cameron. How do you know it's 1,300?
Because you add both of the zeros to it, and you subtract the 1, and it makes 1,300.
Okay, so you basically take the 1 and 100 away, and you just tack on those 2 zeros from the 100 to the end of 13. So you should end up with B. Very good. Okay, number 2. Number 2 says, William and his grandpa picked 23 peaches every day for 100 days. So first I'm going to circle 23 peaches for 100 days. And I'm going to box in every day, because that's a key word. The question says, how many peaches did William and his grandpa pick? That's a typo. How many peaches did William and his grandpa pick? Okay. So how can I figure this out? If we picked 100 peaches every day, or sorry, you have 100 days and they pick 23 peaches every day, how can we solve for that? Isaiah? Yeah. No. You did it right.
I know. But
What'd you do?
I added 2.
You added 2 zeros?
Yeah.
Why? Because I have 1, 2 zeros and 100, right? Yeah. Okay, so 23 times 100. Remember our steps? We underline the digits that aren't 0. We get our partial product, so that makes 23, and then I just add those zeros at the end. So I have 1, 2, so it makes 2,300, which is B, 2,300. Okay, last one. Jaden hit 83 balls at batting practice last month. Wyatt hit 10 times as many as Jaden, and David hit twice, I guess I should probably box that, as many as Wyatt. So how many did Wyatt hit last month? Okay, well we know that Jaden hit 83, right? So let's write that down. If I'm writing, you're writing. So I'm going to put J equals 83. Thank you. Now I want to focus on Wyatt. Okay, Wyatt hit 10 times as many as Jaden.
Is it 830?
So 83 times 10 equals 830. Very good, Lena.
I know because when we were doing our practice notes,
Mm-hmm.
we kept adding zeros.
Exactly. Very good. Okay, now David hit twice as many as Wyatt. So I have what Wyatt hit times, what's twice as many mean? Times what?
100 times
Twice as many.
double.
Double, which is multiplying by how many?
200.
Only by 2. Okay, we've already multiplied by our 10. Don't assume that just because this practice page is multiplying tens and hundreds, we're always multiplying by 10 and 100. You're using your skill you now know to problem solve. You have to look at that key word right here, twice as many. So I know that Wyatt hit 830, thanks to Lena. But now I want to do that times 2. So I'm going to work my problem out over here. 830 times 2.
1,600.
And it's 1,660, which is A. If I have something written, you have all of it written. If I have something, you have something. If I worked out a problem like 830 times 2, you worked out the same problem, 830 times 2 on your own paper to show your own answer.
Because I did it like with.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mrs. Watson?
Mhm.
I thought it said that how many did Wyatt hit?
Oh, it does say how many did Wyatt hit. Huh, thanks. Okay, let's go back. Let's fix that.
Hey, you have to get
We did way too much. We did way too much information. Good catch, Elijah.
You have to give him a piece of candy.
You do. You get a Jolly Rancher. Okay,
That's how the singing does.
so Elijah caught the mistake. He's going to get a piece of or a Jolly Rancher here in a minute. Okay, we only want to know how much Wyatt hit last month. So we did too much. We did too much work. This part was unnecessary. We only need to know this part. Very good.
Good job, Elijah.
All right, so my answer is C, 830. I'll bring you the Jolly Rancher jar, Elijah. Nice job.
And Tyler should get.
Okay. Now, today, you're going to have an independent practice page. You've got about 20 minutes, a little less than 20 minutes to get it done. It's all multiplying by tens and hundreds. Okay?